Good morning. Welcome to the Vancouver Police Department's 2025 Commendation Ceremony. I'm Tanya Vizentine, this is Steve Addison, and we will be your Masters of Ceremony today. We are here to honor sworn police officers and civilian professionals who have done exceptional things in service to their community and in the interest of public safety. We will also recognize remarkable community members, volunteers, and extraordinary citizens who had gone above and beyond to make this city better. The wonderful people you're about to hear represent the very best of us. They have demonstrated bravery, sacrifice, and commitment to the community. We couldn't be prouder to share their stories with you.
Morning, everyone. Before we proceed, we'd like to take a moment to, first of all, recognize everyone who has been impacted by the horrific attack on the Lapu Lapu Festival on April 26th. Our hearts go out to the 11 homicide victims, the survivors, the families, all of the police officers and first responders who have been impacted, and the entire community. We all still share the collective pain and trauma. It's important that we support each other and recognize that the healing journey will be a long one. Today's commendation ceremony is taking place at the Roundhouse Community Centre, which is located on the traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. We're grateful to be joined here today by members of these nations, and I'd like to invite a guest, Mr. Norm Leach, to give a more formal land acknowledgement. Mr. Leach is also here to accept an award on behalf of his mother, which we'll be getting to later.
Thank you. Norman Leach and Squatchy. I will begin by, I always acknowledge the land itself first. The land was here first. And our relationship with the land is different. We don't think of the land as property. We understand the land is a relative. The land is our ancestor. She is our first and our greatest grandmother. And she has gifted us with everything that we have ever eaten or drank or used as medicine or shelter. That has all been a gift from her since the beginning, since before we were even humans. And we understand that then that means that every cell and molecule of our bodies and our ancestors has also been a gift from the land to us forever. So we understand that gift. When someone gifts you everything that you ever needed forever, without question or limit or condition or interruption, that is the definition of love. So we know the land must love us more than we can imagine or ever begin to repay. So we know we owe her more than everything. We owe her the duty to protect, to manage, to use in a good way, and to defend her when necessary. And so we have. And that's the understanding of the relationship that we have with the land. And so having acknowledged the land itself, I acknowledge the people, her oldest grandchildren here, the Musqueam, the Squamish, the Tsleil-Waututh people, who have accepted their responsibilities and have fulfilled their half of that relationship with these lands admirably for at least 10,000 years here. And they have done so in such a good way that these lands, I used to say that they were as good as new when the explorers arrived, but I was corrected by my elders. In fact, they were not as good as new. They were better than new. The people improved the forests, they improved the salmon runs, they improved the medicine growing areas. So that's why when the explorers arrived, they found the largest forests on the planet, in the solar system, in the galaxy, maybe the universe. They found everything they found here, the salmon runs, the caribou herds, the buffalo herds, everything was beyond their imagination because of the responsible and amazing good work of the people who fulfilled their responsibilities here to these lands. So with that, I give thanks to all that they've protected because of their good work, that we also today get to benefit from the gifts of these lands. And I hope we appreciate those gifts, but also share that in the hope and the expectation that we also accept that responsibility to leave these lands as good as or better than they were provided to us. So with that, I will say, all my relations, takum shnaknuka, enjoy the ceremony. It's been an honor. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much for taking the time, first of all, to be here today, Norm, and to take the time out to deliver that wonderful land acknowledgement. We really appreciate it. Now, if you're able to, please rise and direct your attention to the back of the room as dignitaries and special guests are escorted to their seats by Sergeant Major Ray Gardner, Piper Sheldon Burkett, and members of the Vancouver Police Department's ceremonial unit. Sergeant Major. Please be seated. Okay, first of all, welcome to our newly appointed Deputy Chief Constable, Steve Rye. Deputy Chiefs Howard Chow and Fiona Wilson, other members of the Vancouver Police Department's executive and senior leadership team. Mayor Ken Sim, Mayor of Vancouver. Vancouver Police Board Chair Frank Chong. Directors Mr. Alan Black, Ms. Lorraine Lowe, and Mr. Jason Murray. Mr. Frank Chong, Board Chair, will deliver some remarks now.
Thanks very much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Frank Chong. I'm the chair of the Vancouver Police Board. It is truly an honor to join you this morning to recognize and celebrate the remarkable individuals both within our department and from our community whose courage, commitment, and compassion have had profound impact on public safety in our city. The ceremony is about recognizing excellence and extraordinary moments when VPD officers and ordinary citizens step forward during times of crisis. For over 2 decades, the ceremony has been a cornerstone event for the VPD, offering a moment to pause and honor those who have gone above and beyond, from officers who demonstrated incredible professionalism in the line of duty to civilians, professionals who have helped shape the future of policing through innovation and resilience. We are deeply grateful for your contributions. And to members of the public, we honor you today. Your selfless actions reflect the very best of humanity. Whether facing danger to assist someone in distress or intervening to protect others, your bravery embodies the spirit of service and community that defines our city. As we reflect on our incredible stories we hear today, let us also remember that public safety is not the responsibility of one group alone. It is a shared commitment. The partnership between police and community is essential to ensuring Vancouver remains not only a safe city, but a vibrant and inclusive one. When we come together, when we listen, support, and work alongside one another, we build the kind of city we all want to live in, and one that values trust, accountability, and compassion. That unity is our greatest strength. Thank you for being here today, and thank you especially to our honorees. Your courage, service, and leadership inspire us all. As this is the Chief's Commendation Ceremony, I would be remiss to congratulate Chief Rye on his recent appointment. Please join me again in congratulating Constable Steve Rye.
Thank you, Board Chair. Next, I'd like to call up Chief Constable Steve Rye to make some remarks.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you for correcting Stephen. He said I was appointed as Deputy Chief. Steve, you're 10 years behind. Thank you, Norm, for the opening ceremony, land acknowledgement. You're a strong partner with us, and moving forward, I'm going to count on you for lots of advice and guidance, and you've been with us for many years, so thank you. So welcome and thank you for joining us at the 2025 Vancouver Police Department Commendation Ceremony. It's a tremendous honor for me to stand before you today as the newly appointed Chief of the Vancouver Police Department. I am deeply humbled by this opportunity to lead such an outstanding organization with a great legacy that Adam Palmer left behind. It is also a privilege that one of my first official duties as Chief is to recognize the outstanding work being done by the sworn and civilian professionals of the VPD, individuals who exemplify courage, compassion, commitment to public service and public safety. We are also excited to honor and recognize a number of community builders and everyday citizens who have done exceptional things to keep our city safe and help others in need. Policing is a challenging profession, and the Vancouver Police Department is very fortunate to have so many people who have dedicated their lives to serving and protecting our community. This includes the uniformed officers on our front lines, specialized investigators, behind the scenes, and civilian professionals who serve with care and compassion. We're also blessed to have so much support from the people who we serve in our community. We see it and hear it every day, and it's very much appreciated by all of our all of our staff, our civilians, our front line. It helped us get through the last 4 weeks or so, so thank you for everybody out there. In a few moments, you will hear some amazing stories of courage, compassion, and sacrifice, including a passerby who came to the rescue of a woman who was being attacked by a man with a knife, a couple boating in Cole Harbour who leapt into action when a float plane collided with a small boat, 2 constables who chased down an active shooter, and a constable and his police service dog who took extraordinary action to stop an armed and fleeing suspect. We'll be honoring 2 great individuals, one of them posthumously with the Jim and Vicky Chu Community Safety Leader Award for sharing their lived experiences with new recruits. We'll also be honoring our Police Officer and Civilian of the Year, awards that recognize the best among us, who have, throughout their careers, exemplified the department's core values, demonstrated leadership and excellence at work, and outstanding service to our community. In closing, thank you to our Mayor, Ken Sim, our Vancouver Police Board members, Chair Frank Chong, Directors Lorraine Lowe, Jason Murray, Alan Black, and Executive Director Alalay Shah Ali for being with us today. And thank you to the members of the Commendation Committee and our leadership team for recognizing and supporting our deserving members. And most importantly, thank you to the spouses, the partners, the mothers, the fathers, the sisters and brothers, and all the family members for the support you give our members every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I'd now like to call Mayor Ken Sim to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Well, this is definitely not a concert. Okay, so, it's an honor to be here. And before I get started, I feel like I was with David Eby just now, like this thing's way up here. Okay, I do want to acknowledge a whole host of individuals and groups. First of all, I do want to acknowledge that we are hosting today's ceremony on the unceded territories of the Musqueam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh First Nations. And I want to thank you for your generosity and your hospitality and the love and care you show this land that we get to live, work, and play on. And I think it's incumbent upon all of us to unlearn what we've learned in the past, learn the true history as to what's happened on these lands. And you know what? If we do that, we're going to build an incredibly bright future full of love and prosperity, not just for us, but going out 7+ generations. So thank you very much. I also want to acknowledge my teammates on the Vancouver Police Board as well. It's our chair, Frank, and we have Alan and Jason and Lorraine here today, and Raza and Jordan Point as well, who aren't with us. Unfortunately, they have other commitments, and Alalay here as well. So thank you very much. And I also want to acknowledge our new chief. It's actually pretty cool. And just thinking of well, first of all, congratulations. And secondly, I still tear up when I think of the history of how your parents came here as you basically in their early 20s with the family back in the day when, it wasn't as kind to, certain groups. And your dad worked in building services at the VPD just to support the family. And, you and your brother become police officers. And who would have thought 50 years after, the son of someone that works in building services, making things work for the family, becomes the chief of the VPD. I think that's really cool. So there you go. I also want to thank the organizers of today's event. This is a lot of hard work putting it together, and it's super important as well because these are times that we should be celebrating. Look, let's just call it what it is. The silent majority absolutely loves the VPD and everyone who supports the VPD, but the narrative in the media sometimes isn't that great. And events like this are super important to let our members know that we absolutely love them and care about them. And so the effort that you put in to this is pretty outstanding. And finally, to the families of the members that we're going to be celebrating, and all the members for that matter, thank you. Thank you for the sacrifices. We know it's tough, seeing your loved ones, go into harm's way, working in a challenging industry. I think of my own family, and I have really big worries. Like, I hope my kids don't drive like idiots and, get hurt. The families here, they have to worry about the safety of their loved ones every single day when they walk out that door. And we know it's hard on relationships as well. And all I can say, and not as mayor, but as a resident of Vancouver, thank you. It means a lot. And so thank you for supporting your members. At the City of Vancouver, I think it's pretty obvious that we've made public safety a priority. And while City Council, we can paint a vision for what where we want public safety to go. The VPD is the real reason why public safety is improving in our city. You show all the leadership, you do all the hard work, and you put your blood, sweat, and tears into the occupation, in the passion. So thank you for that. As we know, very few people can do this job, and of those individuals, even fewer are willing to do it. So like I said, it's pretty cool. And make no mistake about it, for people that aren't involved in law enforcement, guys like myself, people like us, we get to live the lives that we do because of the sacrifices that you make. And so, like I said, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I know I speak for the vast majority of residents in the city. They're thankful as well. Sometimes they personally don't see it though, so we got to change that. Now, I'm going to go through a bit of a monologue of my experience with the VPD. I'm the type of a person that walks the shop floor, to speak, to understand what you go through, and I've had the honor and the privilege to see the VPD in action. I've been on ride-alongs in D1 and D2 and through Car 87 and Car 88. I've seen situational and de-escalation training and role-playing at the TTC. I've safely monitored demonstrations from a distance, and I've seen you in action at special events that are super complicated. And I've seen VPD in action on the water as well, through the ports and through Falls Creek, and acutely aware of all the challenges that you guys go through. And I've also suffered the pain and the humiliation of doing the POPAT, where it was absolutely terrible, and I miserably failed. Was Becky here today? She's not here? Oh, all right, anyways. She was yelling at me. I didn't know if she was encouraging me, saying, hey, you're doing a great job, or you're really screwing it up, Sim, but because I bonked there. I've also seen the VPD in action, this is about a year and a half ago now, during the Lord Byng situation, where a teacher showed up with some firearms, which highly not recommended, by the way. If we have any teachers here that own firearms, don't do it. And the reason I share that story with you is when I went through the POPAT, and I had to exert myself, and after about a minute and a half, I lost all my sense of reality. I couldn't even think. And then when I think of the police officers that responded, coming in hot, high school, civilians, kids, and you know the blood is racing. And everyone walked out of that situation safe. No one was harmed. That is a massive feat, and that just goes to the training that's provided to our officers. And more importantly, it goes to the character and the skills of our officers as well, and everyone who supports them. So that was really cool. I think of Project Barrage, where, despite the fact that sometimes it gets covered a little negatively by, certain, politicians, what have you, you are making a massive difference. Crime is down, and the people that are the most thankful are the people that actually live down there, the people that are being preyed on by predatory criminals, and so you are making a difference. And then I think of the Lapu Lapu tragedy that happened last month. The way our members, supported by all of our team members, responded. You made a massive difference. That night, the days after, Invest, victim services, the police officers that were there, absolutely incredible in a very horrific situation. And all I got to say is, I had the benefit of just seeing it on the news and then going down to the site the day after and interacting with families. And the heaviness in the heart was incredible. I couldn't imagine actually working on those files. I couldn't imagine being on site the day of. Incredibly heavy. I know we have a lot of members, uniformed officers and members that we're supporting that are hurting right now. All I got to say is, first of all, you made us really proud. Secondly, we absolutely love you. And thirdly, we will always be with you and we'll be there to support you. And just hats off to you. Now, got a little heavy there, but I thought it was important just to let you know how much we love you and how proud we are of you. Now, the VPD is a top 5 organization on the planet. You've heard me say this a bunch of times. You guys are absolutely incredible. I would rank you up there. So just to give some people context here, Through my prior life and as mayor, I've toured over 2,000 organizations on the planet over the last 3 decades. So I've seen companies and organizations everywhere. And I would rank VPD up there with FedEx, Google, Toyota, and Apple. You guys are that good. You guys absolutely blow me away. So the commitment, my commitment to the VPD members and the team, as mayor, we're going to make sure that you have the resources you need to keep our community, and equally as important, yourselves, incredibly safe in the city of Vancouver. To the family members of all the members, first of all, you should be really proud of what your loved ones are doing. And they have our backs, and sure as hell, we have their backs. As long as I'm mayor of the city of Vancouver, we will always have your loved ones' backs, period, full stop. Now, today we do get to give an extra high five and a shout out to members that have done some pretty amazing things, and not just the officers and civilian team members, but as the chief alluded to, they're citizens that have gone beyond the call to keep our neighborhoods and our cities safe. And we just want to celebrate you and your stories. I've read the stories, they're pretty mind-blowing. Is Francis here? Francis? No? I was going to crack a Francis joke. Oh my God, you're there! I'm surprised. I thought you were in Surrey, where they have an easier ERT POPAD, but I'm kidding, we love Francis. It's good to see you, man. Anyways, congrats on being recognized today, and really excited to be here to celebrate your stories. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. We will now get started with the award presentations. When your name is called, please walk up to the right side of the stage where you'll be greeted by Chief Fry, Mayor Sim, and Board Chair Frank Chong. And you'll be awarded your commendation and have your picture taken. You'll then exit the left side of the stage. If you're part of a group of recipients, please wait until everyone's name has been called before getting out of your seats and approaching the stage. If you're here as a family member or a friend of an award recipient, please feel free to come up and take pictures and videos. First up is the Jim and Vicky Chu Community Safety Leader Award, which recognizes the outstanding contributions of community members who improve public safety and demonstrate exemplary leadership and passion for making Vancouver a safer place for everyone. Donna Dickinson grew up on the Lillooet Indian Reserve, about 4 hours north of where we are gathered today. She was the 6th in a family of 10 children. In 1950, at the age of 6, Donna was removed from her home and forced to live at a residential school hundreds of kilometers away in Mission. There, she endured unspeakable abuse and trauma. Alice Munro was born around the same time as Donna and not too far away in Lytton. Like Donna, she was forced to attend a residential school from the age of 6. And like Donna, Alice suffered years of physical, emotional, and psychological trauma that she carried with her for more than 70 years. For 10 years, these ladies, survivors, have devoted themselves to helping police officers better understand the intergenerational impact of residential schools. So when those police officers head out into their communities to keep people safe, they can do so in a more compassionate, enlightened, and trauma-informed way. As part of the Vancouver Aboriginal Community Police Centre's Circle of Understanding, Donna and Alice joined with other residential school survivors and Indigenous elders to meet with Police Academy recruits and share their lived experiences. To more than 70 Police Academy classes and some 600 recruits representing municipal police agencies throughout the province, Alice and Donna channeled their experiences into activism to help educate police and carve a path to reconciliation. That work is far from over. There's still so much work that needs to be done, but we are all better off for their work, and we thank them sincerely for preparing us to better serve our communities. For demonstrating the true meaning of courage and reconciliation, Ms. Donna Dixon and Ms. Alice Munro are awarded the 2025 Jim and Vicky Chu Community Safety Leader Award. This recognition is being awarded posthumously to Donna Dickinson son, I will say that again. This recognition is being awarded posthumously to Donna Dickinson. Accepting on her behalf is her son, Norm Leach.
Okay, continuing now to the Vancouver Police Board Award of Merits. These awards are presented by the Vancouver Police Board to citizens who, on their own initiative and in the face of actual or anticipated danger, made an attempt at saving a life or assisted police in preventing crime or apprehending an offender. Jessica Mingwakti was walking on Harwood Street in the West End on the evening of June 14th, 2021, when she heard the screams of a woman in distress. Jessica stopped, looked around, listened, and quickly pinpointed where the noise was coming from. She zeroed in on the window of a ground floor apartment, and as she moved closer and looked through, Jessica could see that a horrific crime was taking place. A man armed with a knife was straddling a woman who was pinned to the ground, and as she screamed, the man repeatedly tried to stab her. Jessica understood that this was a life and death situation, and she knew that if she didn't do something right away, she quite likely soon would be witnessing a murder. So she moved closer to the building, she banged on the window, and she began yelling and making a noise. It was all that she could do, but it was enough to temporarily distract the attacker. He looked up at the noise, distracted, and this allowed the victim to momentarily break free and escape. As the woman broke free and ran out of the building, Jessica summoned the help of some bystanders. She opened her arms and she took hold of the injured victim, who was bleeding from wounds to the neck, the chest, the throat, as well as defensive wounds to her hands and wrists. The attacker, who had been a temporary guest in the victim's home, he fled. He was arrested 2 days later by members of the Vancouver Police Department. He was charged with attempted murder and ultimately pleaded guilty to aggravated assault. For her selflessness and exceptional courage in intervening in a violent assault and saving the life of a stranger, Jessica Mingwakti is awarded the Vancouver Police Board's highest award for civilian bravery, the Award of Merit.
A man was leaving a restaurant on Dunbar Street with his wife and 2 young children the evening of October 6, 2020, when 2 suspects approached and opened fire. Shot twice in the leg and the abdomen, the victim fell to the ground in front of his 3-year-old child. The car seat he was carrying, which had his 6-month-old inside, dropped to the pavement. It was a targeted hit, another act of violence in BC's gang conflict, and the shooters immediately fled in a waiting car. Alexander Beckman was nearby when the shooting happened, and the sound of gunfire caught his attention. He had no way of knowing if the perpetrators were still nearby or if they would return to finish what they started. But that didn't stop him from rushing to help, performing first aid on the victim until police and paramedics arrived. The 2 shooters were arrested nearby and eventually be convicted and sentenced to 10 years in jail. For his courage in placing himself in potential danger to come to the aid of a stranger, Mr. Alexander Beckman is awarded the Vancouver Police Board's highest award for civilian bravery, the Award of Merit. Mr. Beckman is not here today, but we'll make sure he receives that award.
As families were enjoying a spring afternoon at Second Beach on April 1st, 2023, a stranger showed up, started swearing, making misogynistic remarks, and acting in a way that made other park goers fear for their safety. A bystander called 911, and 2 police officers who were patrolling nearby were sent to help. When the officers arrived, they encountered the man who was causing all of the problems. It was a 30-year-old man who, until that point, had no criminal record, but did have a history of paranoia, delusions, and schizophrenia. As the officers attempted to defuse the situation, the man suddenly became violent. He tried to push past them, and as they attempted to take him into custody, he attacked, punching them in the head and body and gouging at their faces. For several seconds, the officers struggled for control. Although one officer was able to key the button on his radio to call for Code 3 cover, the fight was too intense and he wasn't able to make a broadcast. Cesar Arasque Alarcon and Alexander Vizcarra Cabrera had been at the park with their families when the suspect first walked up to the playground and started intimidating people. They saw the man turn on the officers and attack them, and they recognized that the officers were struggling to win the fight. Putting their own safety at risk to help the injured officers, Cesar and Alexander grabbed hold of the suspect's arms and legs, held him down, and allowed the officers to apply handcuffs, sparing them more serious injuries. Once in custody, the suspect was taken to jail and was later convicted of assaulting both police officers. For entering into a violent situation to help 2 police officers who were under attack, Cesar Arasque Alarcon and Alexander Vizcarra Cabrera are awarded the Vancouver Police Board's highest award for civilian bravery, the Award of Merit. Both Cesar and Alexander were also unable to join us today, and we'll make sure we get their awards to them.
Just under a year ago, a float plane with 6 passengers on board collided with a pleasure boat while it was attempting to take off in Cole Harbour. The initials of the plane colliding with the boat, then coming to rest nose down and partially submerged in Burrard Inlet, led us all to think the worst, that people aboard that plane and on that boat had been killed or seriously injured. And while some of the passengers did sustain injuries, it could have been much worse had it not been for 2 good Samaritans who saw the crash and responded immediately. Susan and Larry Goldstein were enjoying a day on the water when they heard the initial Mayday message come over the marine radio. Without hesitation, they rushed to the wreckage and arrived on scene within a minute. 5 of the seaplane's occupants were in the water, some hanging onto the wings of the partially submerged plane, and others were struggling to stay afloat without life jackets. In those initial moments, it was unclear how many people had been on the boat, whether anyone was stuck inside the plane, or if anyone was trapped underwater. Mr. and Mrs. Goldstein pulled alongside the wreckage, and while Susan maintained control of their boat, Larry jumped out and boarded the wing of the wrecked plane. One by one, they pulled the crash victims from the water onto the wing and into their boat. Providing them comfort and keeping them warm, the couple then ferried the crash victims to shore, where first responders were waiting to take over care. For their quick response and life-saving efforts, Larry and Susan Goldstein are awarded the Vancouver Police Board's highest award for civilian bravery, the Award of Merit.
Okay, the Chief Constable's Award of Valor is awarded to officers who demonstrate the most conspicuous act of bravery in extremely hazardous circumstances, to those who demonstrate a daring or preeminent act of valor, self-sacrifice, or exceptional devotion to duty in the presence of grave danger, and to those who purposely take action for the benefit of others while knowing that in doing so, they place themselves at substantial risk of death or serious injury. A rapid succession of gunshots interrupted what was a temporary moment of calm for Constables Ellen Fallis and Connor Richmond. It was February of 2023, it was still the middle of winter, and street violence had become pervasive through that large tent encampment that had been growing for several months along East Hastings Street in the downtown east side. As members of the VPD's beat enforcement team, Constables Fallis and Richmond had grown accustomed to being hyper-vigilant. But for a brief moment, they were taking a pause from the relative safety inside their car, which they'd positioned at the mouth of a lane near Main and Hastings. The first two shots rang out to the right of Constable Fallis, who was seated in the passenger seat, followed by three more. As the officers instinctively looked towards the direction of the shots, they saw people running amongst the tents and diving for cover. About 45 feet away, the shooter was pointing a gun at another man who had already been struck multiple times. The officers jumped from their car, and while Constable Fallis pursued the suspect down East Hastings Street, her partner pulled the victim to safety behind the police car. He had been shot multiple times, but he was still alive. The armed and dangerous suspect fled down Hastings Street, turned left onto Columbia Street, and entered into Chinatown, which was busy with weekend shoppers. Constable Fallis continued the foot pursuit, calling the suspect's movements over the police radio while other officers responded to the area. The suspect, a convicted drug dealer and a member of a Winnipeg street gang, attempted to get away by ducking into a doorway on Pender Street, but he was arrested at gunpoint and taken into custody, thanks in large part to Constable Fallis's quick thinking and response. Back at the crime scene, Constable Richmond provided assistance to the victim, also a gang member, who was well known in the downtown east side. He was shot twice in the hand and once in the shoulder. He was bleeding heavily, and he was at risk of losing consciousness. Constable Richmond assessed his injuries, applied pressure to the wounds, and tied a shirt around the man's injured hand to stem the bleeding until other first responders arrived. For responding with courage to a critical and unfolding incident, improvising life-saving techniques, and in preventing further harm to a shooting victim, Constables Ellen Fallis and Connor Richmond are awarded the Vancouver Police Department's highest award for bravery, the Award of Valor.
We are now moving on to Chief Constable Commendations, which are awarded to Vancouver police officers who show outstanding skill, judgment, dedication, or integrity over the course of a single investigation, operation, or incident, who demonstrate the highest standards of police conduct or humanitarianism in a single incident, operation, investigation where there is a risk of danger, who demonstrate exceptional skill, judgment, dedication, or integrity in the performance of their duties, or who develop a method or program that has substantial effect on the operation of the Vancouver Police Department. The radio broadcast of a suspected break-in at a building on the downtown east side was the kind of call Sergeant Jesse Schellenberg and police service dog Jade had responded to dozens of times in their partnership. Their specialty was tracking criminals, and they are really good at it. So when Jesse heard over the radio that the suspected thief had just fled the crime scene in a van, he and Jade started rolling into the area with plans of finding the criminal. And while this started off as the kind of call they've been to many times before, the way it ended left both Jesse and Jade changed forever. It all started just after 8:30 p.m. when two people were seen committing a break and enter on Alexander Street and leaving in a car. Patrol officers had spotted the crime vehicle in East Vancouver and attempted to pull it over, but the driver fled and sped away at the high rate of speed. Jesse continued into the area and spotted the van on a side street near East 2nd and Commercial Drive. As the suspect continued to flee, he struck numerous parked cars in the heavily populated residential neighborhood. Understanding the urgency to stop the fleeing driver who was putting innocent people in danger, Jesse used his own car to pin the suspect's vehicle in place. The driver's side door on the suspect's vehicle popped open, and Jesse released Jade, who rushed toward the suspect and grabbed hold of his lower leg. As the suspect struggled, his shoe came loose in Jade's mouth. The dog spit out the shoe and reapplied the bite. However, the suspect had already started to twist toward the vehicle's center console. When he turned back to face Jesse and Jade, the suspect was holding a revolver in his right hand, his finger on the trigger. He pointed the gun at Jesse, then toward Jade, firing toward the dog's head point blank. He then aimed the gun back at Jesse. Believing his partner had been shot in the head and that his own life was in imminent danger, Jesse fired his own gun into the vehicle, striking the suspect and ending the threat to his own life. By the grace of God, Jade survived. The bullet grazed her ear and burned her skin, but it did not cause serious injuries. Jesse and his partner Jade both had each other's backs that night, and thanks to their partnership, both escaped serious physical injury and are here today. The shooter was injured, treated in hospital, and later convicted of multiple offenses, including dangerous driving, assaulting a peace officer, and using a firearm in the commission of an offense. For their persistence in stopping a fleeing and armed suspect who was putting the public at great risk, Sergeant Jesse Schellenberg and police service dog Jade are awarded a Chief Constable's Commendation.
We have a very important work anniversary to celebrate today. It was 19 years ago today, on May 23rd, 2006, that Constable Chris Nishi became a member of District 4, Team 3. It's quite rare, it's actually practically unheard of in this day and age for anyone to remain on the same patrol team for this length of time. Over the past 2 decades, Chris has seen 11 sergeants come and go, along with 15 staff sergeants and 11 inspectors. But what makes Chris so incredible is the 33 police academy recruits he's trained along the way, personally trained. That is the most impressive number by far. For those of you who aren't familiar, family and friends, field trainers are experienced patrol officers who work with police academy recruits when they're completing the Block 2 portion of their police academy training. The training lasts for months at a time, and during that time, the field trainers guide new officers through what is the most important and formative time of their career. And the value of a good field trainer is something that can't be overstated. They are, in many regards, the most influential person on a new recruit's career. And to have someone like Chris be so dedicated to teaching young recruits has made all of us a lot better off. To give some perspective, Chris's 8,479 hours spent as a field trainer is equivalent to more than 800 work days, spanning more than 200 weeks. That means he spent roughly 8 total years of his career in patrol training other officers. There's nobody else in the VPD who even comes close to that. Adding to his legacy, many of Chris's 33 recruits have gone on to become field trainers themselves, passing along what they learned from him to the next generation of officers. It's clear when you talk to those around Chris that it's the intangibles that stand above all. His patience, his wisdom, his compassion, and his ethics, which helps every young officer understand the weight of the responsibility they carry as a Vancouver police officer. For professionally and thoughtfully shaping a generation of police leaders, Constable Chris Nishi is awarded the Chief Constable's Commendation.
For nearly a decade, Constable Rob McCall has been the catalyst behind the Vancouver Police Tactical Emergency Medical Services Program, also known as TEMS, giving frontline officers the training and skills they need to administer life-saving care in high-threat situations. Constable McCall has developed and expanded the TEMS program by identifying and training police medics, both within the VPD and outside police agencies. He has worked to acquire new critical equipment, develop procedures and protocols, and create training opportunities with other police agencies and emergency responders. Thanks to Constable McCall's work, more VPD officers now have the skills and training to give immediate life-saving care. These officers have prevented loss of life in several incidents and given comfort to people who have been seriously injured. These incidents include a police officer who was assaulted and choked by a violent suspect, a shooting victim who needed urgent care and advanced medical care, and a woman who was 9 months pregnant and involved in a serious collision. This legacy program also helps proactively and reactively protect Vancouver police officers and will continue to expand to other police agencies. For his outstanding leadership in making the Vancouver Police TEMS program the most advanced of its kind in Canada, contributing to saving many lives, Constable Rob McCall is awarded the Chief Constable's Commendation.
Sergeant David Steverding and Constable Brendan Frick were patrolling the downtown east side the morning of July 30th, 2022, when they stopped for a traffic light near Columbia and East Hastings Street. Sergeant Steverding was driving and Constable Frick was sitting in the passenger seat of the police SUV. It was a warm summer morning and the passenger side window was rolled down. As we were waiting for the light to change, out of nowhere, a man armed with a large metal pipe ambushed the officers from behind and began striking Constable Frick through that open car window in the head and face. Sergeant Steverding put his foot to the floor and thrust the SUV forward through the intersection to create a reactionary gap. But the attacker followed, this time charging at them at a run. By the time the officers opened their doors to get out of the car, the suspect was back on Constable Frick and ready to continue the attack. Constable Frick unholstered his gun and fired, but the man kept moving toward him with the weapon. Brendan moved off the line to dodge the next blow, but the attacker continued to advance. Sergeant Steverding raced around the back of the police car, drew his taser, took aim at the suspect, and fired. The taser struck the attacker, causing him to drop the weapon and fall to the ground. He was taken into custody, and officers treated him for his injuries. Constable Frick was seriously injured. He required treatment in hospital and endured a significant road to recovery. And in March 2023, the suspect was convicted of assaulting Constable Frick with a weapon. For stopping a violent man intent on serious harm or murder, protecting their own lives and potentially the lives of others, Sergeant David Steverding and Constable Brendan Frick are awarded the Chief Constable's Commendation.
In a 29 career as a Vancouver police officer, Constable Augie Daniels served as a patrol officer, a sex crimes investigator, and spent years working to improve road safety as a dedicated member of our traffic services unit. Her policing experience and commitment to public safety earned her the respect of her peers and the community at large. And while those accomplishments alone are enough for us to be here today for her, it's the work she did outside of her day job that we are about to recognize. Because for 22 of her 29 years, Augie served as one of the most integral forces of the Vancouver Police Mutual Benevolent Association, fostering camaraderie and peer support amongst her peers and their families. The bonds that unite us as police officers come from the challenges we face every day in the line of duty. We see and do a lot of really hard things over the course of a career. Many of those stories we've heard today are a testament to that. And when it feels like very few people outside of our policing family really understand what it's like to put on these uniforms every day, it's organizations like the PMBA that bring us together year after year with love, support, and respect. Whether it's hosting the formal police ball or the annual kids' Christmas party at the PNE, sending a new mom a gift basket when she arrives home from the hospital, or helping our Cops for Cancer team raise money for sick kids, for more than 125 years, the PMBA has been a pillar of support for VPD officers. And for the 22 years, it was Constable Augie Daniels holding up that pillar. First elected as a board member in the early 2000s, Augie went on to earn an unprecedented 4 straight terms as president of the PMBA. She served as the chair of the organization's Special Needs Committee, handled sensitive issues with equity, inclusivity, and confidence, and coordinated a scholarship committee that benefits the children of serving members. During the holidays, Augie coordinated the distribution of chocolates to widows and widowers, making sure that they have continual PMBA support they need long after their spouse is retired. She was also the chair of the annual police ball for 15 years, one of the largest in North America, fostering relationships among law enforcement members and families from across Canada, the US, and internationally. Now enjoying retirement, Augie has left a legacy of care and peer support to her fellow officers, which will be felt long after her retirement. For that, Constable Augie Daniels is awarded the Chief Constable's Commendation. Unfortunately, Augie's not here today, so like the others, we'll make sure she receives her award.
The report of a distressed man near the water in Stanley Park came over the police radio as Constable Neil Carswell was conducting patrols through the West End on his VPD-issued bike. It was just after 2 p.m. on July 5th, 2023. The caller had stated that there was a man standing knee-deep in the water near the Vancouver Rowing Club, close to the entrance to Stanley Park. He was looking confused and possibly in some kind of a mental health episode. With about 20 people looking on but unsure what to do, Constable Carswell rode his bike over to the seawall to assess the situation. The tide was out and the man was waist-deep in the water, shirtless and confused. It was clear to Constable Carswell that this man needed help. Neil flagged down staff at the Vancouver Rowing Club to get access to the pier, which was the closest point to reaching the man. By now, he was sinking deeper in the water and he was starting to struggle. Constable Carswell began to gear down, stashed what he could of his equipment in the saddlebag of his bicycle, and readied himself for a swim. A second officer arrived and passed a life preserver to Constable Carswell just as the man's head began to slip below the surface of the water. It was about 25 meters from dry land to the drowning man, which is about the length of a community center swimming pool, and as Constable Carswell quickened his strokes to close the distance, the man disappeared from view. Weighed down by his police uniform, his shoes, and his ballistic vest, and hampered by the chilly, dark water, Neil swam to the place where he last saw the man. He then paused, he searched for air bubbles, and he felt around in the water. Suddenly, Constable Carswell felt the man's arm under the water. He pulled him up to the surface, he placed the flotation device around his neck, and he started pulling him to shore. It was a 25-meter swim back to dry land. Once on shore, Neil lifted him onto the dock and into the care of other VPD officers who rushed him toward an ambulance for medical treatment. For putting himself in personal jeopardy and saving a disoriented and unresponsive man from drowning, Constable Neil Carswell is awarded the Chief Constable's Commendation.
We have one Chief Constable citation to give out, which is awarded to 2 or more sworn officers or civilian professionals working together on an incident or project in which they show outstanding skill, judgment, dedication, or integrity over the course of a single investigation, operation, or incident. Demonstrate the highest standard of police conduct or humanitarianism in a single incident, operation, or investigation where there's a risk or danger. Exemplify exceptional skill, judgment, dedication, or integrity in the performance of their duties, or develop a method or program that has substantial effect on the operation of the Vancouver Police Department. Over a 4-month period in the spring of 2021, a group of violent criminals committed multiple home invasions across Metro Vancouver. These criminals targeted people living in luxury homes, targeting them in the early morning hours when they knew the residents would be at home. The victims were all assaulted, forcibly confined with restraints, and robbed while the assailants brandished firearms. The crimes were brazen and brash, and without knowing who was going to be targeted next, there was an urgency to identify and arrest the people responsible. VPD identified multiple suspects with links to the Lower Mainland gang conflict, and investigators deployed a number of covert resources to gather evidence and work toward an arrest. It was a high-risk case, and the biggest risk was not knowing when or where the criminals would strike again. Those concerns became a reality on September 8, 2001, after covert investigators followed a stolen car into a Richmond parking lot. Without warning, the kidnapping suspects got out of the stolen car, violently kidnapped a man at gunpoint, and began driving away. While members of the emergency response team and K-9 unit scrambled into action and developed a hostage rescue plan, the covert surveillance team kept close watch, knowing if they got too close and burned their cover, the hostage could be killed, but also understanding that if the kidnappers got away, the victim might never be found. In a dynamic and high-risk takedown, VPD investigators intercepted the kidnapper's vehicle, taking the suspects into custody and rescuing the hostage, who had been zap-strapped in the kidnapper's car. 3 men and 1 woman. One woman was later convicted of kidnapping using a firearm. One of the men facing additional charge of using a firearm in the commission of an indictable offense. For their quick thinking and decisive action in a volatile situation, the following people are awarded the Chief Constable's citation. Inspectors Rob Clark and Gary Hare, Sergeants Jordan Crondall, Scott Fisher, Keith Howson-Jones, and Ryan Irving, Detective Constables Matthew Goddard, Kristen Jesus, Brian McInnes, Matthew Oliver, Ian Scott, Kevin Stevens, and Jackie Stewart, Constables Frank Aquino, Nicole Laurel, Graham Minty, Matthew Nielsen, Leo Sefteas, Sako Tefengian, Dan Watts, and David Woodland, Project Assistant Patty Ashford, and Crime Analyst Cynthia Brown.
Okay, now we're moving on to the Vancouver Police Civilian of the Year and Police Officer of the Year awards. We'll start with the Civilian of the Year. As the Special Administrator of Covert Affairs, Lisa King is instrumental in ensuring the success of this important work, and that the officers involved have the tools to work safely and effectively. Since 2013, she has been managing several portfolios in her position, including her work at the BC Municipal Undercover Program, which is made up of municipal police agencies from across the province. Lisa is also the liaison with the provincial government to ensure officers within the VPD and across Canada have the tools they need to comply with operationally relevant sections of the Criminal Code. She maintains a library of relevant case law, court decisions, and legal advice for operations and training, and reviews concluded files to determine if publication bans are needed to protect officers and other investigations. Lisa effortlessly manages multiple complex national-level events, including the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police National Undercover Working Group Conference. She manages every detail with precision, from hotel negotiations to organizing speakers to setting the agenda. Lisa is a nationally accredited critical incident scribe and plays a key role in the successful resolution of many high-risk events. She has dedicated hundreds of hours to these high-pressure incidents since 2010 and is a valued contributor to critical incident courses for scribes, managers, and commanders. The success of Lisa's work helps ensure the safety and security of police officers across BC and directly contributes to successful investigative outcomes. She has a national reputation for her unique and exceptional set of skills in this niche area of policing and is known for being dependable, reliable, and indispensable. For her unwavering dedication to excellence, as a highly skilled team member in a challenging covert environment, Ms. Lisa King is the 2025 Vancouver Police Civilian Professional of the Year.
As the sergeant in charge of the Vancouver Police Department's drug unit, Mike Chia has led his team to remarkable success in the investigation of organized crime groups in the drug trade. Over 145 kilograms of hard drugs with an estimated value of over $23 million have been seized in the last 3 years, a record for any single unit in the history of the VPD. In addition to the regular workload of the drug unit, Sergeant Chia led 6 major investigations, employing complex investigative strategies and maintaining teams of up to 55 people. These have resulted in not just seizures of fentanyl, cocaine, methamphetamine, and cash, but led to the serious charges for fentanyl production and high-level drug trafficking. The investigations targeted organized crime groups operating regionally and internationally and involved partners with the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration and police agencies across Canada, resulting in a significant disruption in the local toxic drug supply. Notable cases include the discovery of a fentanyl super lab in a residential area, where a neighbor had been hospitalized after he was subjected to vented chemical fumes. This discovery stopped further harm to others. Sergeant Chia's team also investigated for hire, kidnapping, and contract killing, preventing the deaths of Vancouver couple. Sergeant Chia oversees 9 detectives and 2 civilian professionals in the drug unit and has created a culture where high-level success is achieved through commitment to hard work, camaraderie, and inclusion. He regularly assists others in navigating personal and professional challenges and has coached 6 constables in their successful promotion to sergeant. A Vancouver police officer since 2004, Sergeant Chia has a criminology degree from SFU. He has worked in patrol, strike force at CFSCU BC, and the Vancouver jail. His outstanding service to the community extends into his personal life, where he volunteers at his church. For his success in disrupting sophisticated organized crime networks and distinguishing himself as an exemplary leader, Sergeant Mike Chia is the 2025 Vancouver Police Officer of the Year.
That concludes our program. Congratulations to all of the award recipients, and thank you for everyone who came out today. Please stand, again, if you're able, as Chief Rye, Mayor Sim, Board Chair Chong, and special guests are escorted out of the hall. Sergeant Major.